squad, which is now Arc 6, and the big question early on is, what is Ginger Pop going to play? For now, he's on the Lucio. You have to imagine that's going to switch, though, if they run a pharmacy, right, ZP?
You would think, and I mean, this is really weird. Don't get me wrong, I love Custa to death, but Ginger Pop has been one of the very best main supports in all of North America. So to swap him off to the Lucio right now is interesting, to say the least. I'm willing to see how it works out. Maybe he's a very good Lucio, but it's weird.
Well, Ginger Pop has not shown me a ton on Zenyatta, and Custa is a Zenyatta specialist, so maybe that is the thinking there. But I think if you do see a Mercy, then it will be Ginger Pop on the Mercy. He's nigh unkillable on that hero. As we roll out early, the fight will take place in the hallway, which is the tradition here on Control Center.
It is the early opening here for Control Center, and for Arc 6, they are able to go in, but Dante falls immediately, Muma coming back out, and again, this is what you expect from FNRGFE. Matt and Muma controlling space and opening things up for them, and with those opening 2 kills, have gotten rid of the opposing tanks, and that's gonna let them get right in as XQC goes for a ride.
Well, speaking of controlling space, that's exactly what Matt did. One is 1v1 D.Va v D.Va, able to take space out of that equation, who's been a very good player for this Arc 6 team as far as the tank play goes, but early on, already, FNRGFE takes control of the point, and Buds did a lot of work there. Buds has been so versatile for this team. Everyone needs a player like him, already at 75% on tactical.
And the thing for Buds is that Buds gets to work with so much space on this FNRGFE team. Look at what's going on right now. Both Muma and Matt draw back to get XQC off of Buds, make room for him, and while they're diving in, you saw Clockwork coming back in from the flank. So FNRGFE, again, very good at dealing with dives that are coming in on them, and for now, they're very much controlling the game away from Arc 6.
If you want to see a little small resume from Clockwork, I think he has a video where he takes 25 kills in a row against a development team in closed beta. One of the best early Overwatch videos, and he used to be the best scout in Team Fortress 2. Some of that, of course, translates into his Tracer play. Just god-tier tracking from Clockwork.
And Clockwork, I mean, he's a player where he's been struggling to find his place in Overwatch, but again, he's mixed well with this FNRGFE team. And now, going to this next fight, you see that Arc 6 doesn't really have a whole lot immediately. They're going to be building up a trance, and Custa, the question is he going to engage with this Transcendence here? They have the barrier, and now they're going to be learning the support ultimates. First they come in with the barrier, now it forces out the Transcendence from FNRGFE, and that should lead into a Transcendence from Custa. This is not a fight you want to lose after investing the barrier. The trance is out, but Dante's already down, and now Buds can come in with his tack visor. The visor is out, the trance is done, and he's able to tear through the backline here, coming in and forcing back Arc 6.
There's going to be some growing pains with adding Custa to this roster. The Transcendence had to come out reactionarily to defend and pull his team back to life, but really good patience there from Buds to wait. He saw the barrier, had to wait. Kind of knew that the clock was probably up on Transcendence, then comes around the corner, cleans up that back line, and 99% desperation time for Arc 6. Pizza gets one of the first kills for them all game, and pulse bombs Buds.
Well, the pulse bomb pickoff will help, but they need a little bit more than that. Space coming over the top of the self-destruct, definitely helping. Here comes Dante. The blade is out. Arc 6 has been saving ultimates all game. Will this be enough to take a fight? And so far, it's been more even than it should be. For as much as they had going into this fight here, Hex, they have not been able to really decisively throw FNRGFE out. And Dante gets soloed by Boink onto the outskirts. That is not what you want to start out this final fight.
Battle Lucio can be scary, man. Clockwork comes in late, tries to land a pulse bomb, does stick it, but Ginger Pop's there for the cleanup on him. First capture of the set so far for this Arc 6 squad, and they had to burn a lot into it. However, Boink had to burn Barrier to try to defend against Blade, and good patience there from Dante to wait it out, take out Muma, so they're going to have the Barrier advantage at the very least as the fight begins again.
Fight is underway here. Barrier being dropped here from Arc 6, but they're under pressure. Banny going in deep with the Transcendence, keeping FNRGFE alive as they go very deep here. Muma has the Primal Rage in reserve. Almost goes down, is able to rage right out of it, and this offense, which is just going deep in off of these tank heroes, is able to pick up 2 kills, and Arc 6 now down to the last 3 players as they try and pull this one back.
Well, Clockwork going to town now with the help of his Zenyatta. He's just chasing the purple balloon. Anyone who's discorded is in mortal danger right now. Clockwork gets yet another as they clean up space. Gonna need a miracle here. XQC's got the Primal Rage if he can get back and stall out. He does just that, but eats a pulse bomb, has to Primal out of it.
Attack vibes are coming out here from Buds, and that is going to be the cleanup that FNRGFE needs to cleanly take this round of Lijiang Tower on Control Center. And overall, I would say when you look at teams and you evaluate where their power level is, how well they're doing, it's always a bad omen when you use as many ults as Arc6 did in one of the final fights there, and then they did take the point, but they barely took the point. It was tortured.
Yeah.
You cannot be winning with that little efficiency and expect to take an entire round.
I was pretty impressed with Banny on the Zenyatta there. Towards the end, he was all throughout the kill feed, getting assists and everything. Of course, that is not TF2 Banny. I always have to say that, because you see Banny and Clockwork on the same team, you make assumptions. Alright, so Gingerpop going to stay on the Lucio here, and maybe that's just for call, and you don't really want to switch your Lucio as far as calling goes, but Custa now has to work with ZZA to work on the combination here. Both teams going to run a pharmacy.
Both teams taking to the sky, and this might be advantage to Arc6 right now. If you remember when they were on a big tear at Hex, they were very much a good Pharah team. They won off the strength of their Pharah play, but this is a test for Buds now. Buds versus into the sky, and the ground war is important too. Gingerpop goes a little bit too deep, is picked off, and Buds under heavy assault. XQC changing target, and it's enough. With the aid of XQC, Za is able to take down Buds, and Arc6 having a little bit more success on the outskirts. The problem is that they have lost control of the point in this outgoing fight.
Yeah, first capture does go over to FNRGFE. Banny under heavy pressure, but Cool Matt able to keep him alive and save his life. They will need to get back on the point. Banny and Clockwork fall very quickly, and a self-destruct comes out on the point.
Self-destruct is coming in, and Arc6 very close to retaking, but you still have delay coming in. Mumat was able to build up Primal Rage in the middle of that, and Matt is still very much alive, completely healthy, and it is the tank play of FNRGFE that is still making crucial space for them and crucial delay. And even as they potentially lose this point here, they've done a lot of work, and the resurrection means it might not be over yet.
Resonant Barrier, a beautiful combination, timed absolutely perfectly, and Matt's going to self-destruct on the point to get people off of it. That will buy them some space. They still have not captured. There it is! That should not have necessarily happened. They were chased too hard and didn't see the Lucio coming in. Give up the point.
This entire fight is sort of troubling for Arc6 because they were arguably winning it most of the time there, and yet they were bullied out of the point for a little bit, lost control of the point, and now they're in a hole where maybe that first fight should have went their way to begin with. So they have to do something to control the tempo of the game more, even as they have really good fair play coming in here from Za.
Well, they're going to move around and pressure the point. A preemptive barrier comes out on the side of Arc6 to try to stay healthy on the point, but still not finding targets while that barrier active. Not great. You want to be aggressive with it. 2 quick kills while 1.5 as a DMAC comes in off for FNRGFE. Bud's still holding Barrage here. Might not even need it.
Ooh. Za was going for the barrage on the Muma, wasn't able to get it off before Buds took him out in turn, and it's a quick retake here from FNRGFE that will keep them on top in progress, and going to the next fight, they have tools here. They will have the resurrection up that Arc6 is still building, and Buds can go for an ambush barrage.
Some complaints in the scene about not having a suicide button to reset. Apparently those players have not played Pharah because that's what Q is bound to. Very difficult to pull off a barrage successfully in this game. Bud's holding his, but the reason he can get away with this one is Banny will bring him back to life if the barrage fails.
And Buds right now, he's just holding on to the outskirts, doesn't even need to use barrage here just yet, but with Clockwork going down, this gets a little bit more difficult for FNRGFE. They're good at controlling space, but they are going to get pushed back now that they don't have the Tracer presence in the backline. Buds right now versus the Pharah Mercy combo. Custa very low, and he gets in a really rough position. He's going to fall here early on, and FNRGFE is able to turn this one back, in no small part due to the contributions of Matt and Buds.
Well, they also solo res Clockwork there. They know how important his contribution can be, especially when fights start breaking down. And now Bud's on the absolute cleanup. Will barrage from the edge. So close was Arc6 from turning this back over. They will get more pressure on the point, and Custa's going to resurrect Gingerpop too.
And this is just do or die here for Arc6. You have the last moment resurrection coming out here from Custa, just trying to put anything onto the point right now to keep this in overtime, but the kills are going FNRGFE's way. Bud's going for a little bit more cleanup in over the top, and the skies are his right now as far as finishing things off. Gonna grab Za from the back, and that will be the second round to FNRGFE.
Two quick stages here. I talked a little bit about it yesterday when we were looking at Immortals, and the problem is when you have players who can go hero-wise, the other team's put in a tough spot of who do you even focus on? Who do you take out? What do you think is the best way for them to approach taking out this FNRG FE team?
It's difficult because you have to basically play the tank game. Right now, I would argue that in Overwatch, your tank players might be your most important players overall. And when you have a 1-2 tank combo that's working as well as FNRG FE's tanks are working, you have to come at them with a similarly strong combo. And even though XQC has been very good in the past, I'm not sure XQC and Space have the same level of synergy that we're seeing right now from Cool Matt and Muma, where, frankly, there's plenty of fights going on right now where Arc6 is simply getting bullied back.
Your tanks have to work as one unit, and it goes back to even the days of Cloud9 with Tibet and Kai on double Winstons of all things, but they have to work in sequence and as one, and that's what Cool Matt is so good at doing with the remainder of his tanks. 2 quick kills to open up this fight for FNRG FE, and that is very well might just be it already.
Well, when Buds is able to come in over the top and simply take down Zav, someone who is usually key to Arc6 being able to take fights easily in Pharah Mercy setups, that's pretty much going to be the tail of the tape there. And again, it is a easy take here for FNRG FE as now you take a look at how Arc6 is setting up. They're going around the narrow side, coming back in, but they're getting spammed and they're really having trouble getting in here cleanly as XQC takes a pulse bomb right to the face.
Yeah, eats it, and that hurts so much to try to get him. That's why they're going to solo res him, bring him right back to life, but they lose Za right afterwards. As Self-Destruct comes in outside of the point, the fight will continue here, and it's a nice pickoff from Space to take Cool Matt out of this.
Matt's out of the fight, and that is one big annoyance away for Arc6 here, but the resurrection comes in. It is a solo res onto Matt, and the terror of the, well, no, he's not able to get back into his mech. He dies right away to Dante, so the pressure continues here for Arc6, and they are able to finally push out FNRG FE here, and yet still not able to cap the point just yet.
A solo res on a baby diva is not ideal, even though we've seen Matt go to town with the Buddy Blaster before. Not going to be the case so far. Now they're just going to try and install out. Maybe if they get a pick, they can bring it back, but they're just trading lives for percentage points at this point. As Matt gets demeched immediately yet again.
This is really good delay coming in from FNRG FE. It is very likely a losing fight, but they've gotten an extra 20% here that they probably should not have gotten given the circumstances. Clockwork back in, darting in and around. Muma was delaying there for quite a while, and he's back in here again. So the stagger stall coming in from FNRG FE. This has to be frustrating for Arc6 right now.
Matt almost got in again. He was thinking about going in with the Diva, but a little bit late. 77% when all is said and done, when everything is cleaned up off the point for FNRG FE. Looking to 3-0 this first map of Lijiang Tower here. It's going to be Hunt the Mercy time as both Banny and Custa have their resurrections available.
Well, we'll see if Custa can get a good resurrection to get this back on track to some extent. But here comes Matt, the self-destruct in over the top. Custa, going for dear life, is able to get out of the blast radius before all is said and done. But here comes the resurrection. Has to bring Dante and Ginger Pop back up. This is not a tempo res. This is a get us back in the fight evenly res. Followed up by a sound barrier. But Arc6 isn't able to get any kills right after the barrier. They're still getting pushed back and really unable to catch FNRG FE off guard. And here comes Buds. One rocket to Custa, but no! Za turns it right back around, wins the air war, and has the barrage in tow.
XQC has popped his Primal Rage to stall out on the point, ends up picking up a kill late, and he's been trying to bring this team back to life, and that's a nice stall, nice couple of kills, and they won the air war there. Za, of course, a phenomenal Pharah. Buds has been okay at it lately, hasn't had the giant plays, but has been consistent.
Buds has been a good Pharah, there's no doubt about it. I won't say he's been absolutely mind-blowing, but he's been what you need in the barrage. Nullified by the defensive matrix, but Matt still took damage in the middle of it, and they're able to still get Matt out of the fight and control the tempo here. So this has been a nice turnabout here for Arc6.
It has been, but Buds takes out Dante. That means Clockwork's going to be free to roam unchecked with no Tracer on the ground, and he finds his target. Ginger Pop eats a Pulse Bomb, will be out of this fight. Custa brings everyone back to life, though. I don't know if XQC got in on that. He did not.
Did not, but they give up control of the point. Even after the res, even as they have 6 in the fight, they aren't able to stay on it. This goes back the way of FNRGFE, and that's the type of unforced error that you cannot make in the situation, especially when you have that many people near the point.
Well, the res came in off the point. They just didn't die on the point. That's where you need your bodies to be laying there, and XQC died post that. So, I mean, it's a bit of an error, but it's one that I can understand why it happens. A couple of quick kills, though, and ARC-6 looked to try to take this back while FNRGFE is sitting at 99%. You have to burn a barrier to do it.
Despite giving up the point there, this is still very good for ARC-6. If they can just get a few more kills and finish this out, they will be one fight away. And it's not going to be a fight where FNRGFE is going to have a ton of time. Za has been able to do more on Pharah here thus far than Buds, and it has been able to neutralize what's been going on in the tank game. 98%. Clockwork has to dash onto the point by himself. He's very vulnerable in this situation. He's going to fall. He's not able to stay alive as Za drops the barrage for cleanup. Does not want any of the delay, but you're right. The resurrection comes in, and this is still going to give new life here to ARC-6, and they are capitalizing after it. They get Custa. There will be no res here for ARC-6.
So important to get Custa. Now they have to stay on the point and just stall out as much as they can. Even if they die on the point. The res should come in. The wick is burning so fast right now, ZP. They cannot afford to step off at all. Still haven't taken it back over. A beautiful barrage, though, from Buds. Comes in over top, swings the fight the way of FNRGFE. Custa's now back in it, though, and here's the res.
Custa's back in. He's going to use it just on Dante, and this is just a tempo res here to keep up the momentum here for ARC-6. This has been very back and forth. Still could go either way. Clockwork under pressure in the middle of the point. Muma dancing around, and Za, no one is on Za as he looks for rocket after rocket, finding Muma towards the end. And this is still very close here, Hex.
But it's been in overtime so long that as soon as FNRGFE steps off the point, it will be over. A self-destruct tries to do just that. Takes out point. There goes Clockwork. Desperation from FNRGFE. They're nowhere near a resurrection. Coolmat may be able to get in here, but as the fight continues to go on, it's looking like ARC-6 might get a stage.
ARC-6 getting closer and closer. The barrage comes in, and that is going to be ARC-6 taking the round after what can only be described as a slugfest there towards the end.
An Oasis-like brawl at the end is what I would call it. No Oasis in this map pool today, so we will see those long fights sometimes on points. We're going back to Control Center, and I have to say, this definitely favors FNRGFE. They looked much stronger on this point, which was our first stage of the day.
There's no doubt about it, although it is worth noting here that no matter where they would go to here, it would be a stage that they had already won, given that they lost the final stage out of 3. So no matter what, ARC-6 is going to have a different result than what they had earlier in the day.
But this one looked really brutal, pretty one-sided overall. They just seem to like the smaller space to work with, and we'll see how it happens here. It's going to be kind of the opening of Braveheart, as both teams very likely to charge at each other right on top of the stairs here, and that's exactly how it opens.
Both teams getting each other's faces here immediately. Matt drawing fire, backing back out. And while that's going on, you have Buds coming in on the flank, able to grab XQC, punishes him for the dive, and FNRGFE able to pile on. And this time it's Buds catching 2 off guard and leading the way for FNRGFE.
Yeah, they will get first cap, it seems, unless a dive comes in. It comes in late, and XQC might pay for that. He does. Gets discorded and taken out as he was on a different page than the rest of his team as he tried to come in and stall out. He was the only one who went in. And for that, they will give up the point control early on. And now Bud's getting a little bit chasey. Goes up forward. You don't see teams hold as far forward anymore without Reinhardt's and without Zarya's, so definitely going to give up free entry here.
Zarya is what I would point to, where the entry Graviton was once a staple of Control Center, but you simply don't see Zarya as much anymore, and therefore don't really see entry Gravitons, or Gravitons period, but XQC moving in, and the focus fire on him is insane! You saw FNRGFE just back out and treat XQC like their personal whipping boy, and that's going to be 2 quick kills for FNRGFE as they deal with this dive very well.
Just has to be a little bit closer together. He's got to be in there with his D.Va. He's got to have some DPS in there. You can even send your Genji in and have deflect up, which helps out a lot in those dives. He's a tank for a little bit of time in those situations, but it's been XQC going in a little bit alone in the first 2 dives of this fight that has given FNRGFE this huge advantage.
That's what you don't see from FNRGFE, though. You don't see Muma go in completely alone. Matt is right with them, and XQC, when he leapt in, Space was not with him side by side. XQC was just getting drilled as he went in there, and you can't have that happen. Meanwhile, Bud set up over the top, guns down Dante mid-blade, having absolutely none of that, drops right down. And though Dante is the main victim, that was a very good counter kill coming out here from Buds. Gonna be 2 kills from FNRGFE and very likely a 1 fight.
You'll trade a visor for a blade any day of the week and twice on Sundays, and I don't know if you just didn't have deflect up or didn't expect the visor to pop out so quickly from Buds, but already 90%. The one silver lining there is that FNRGFE cashed in all of their ultimates, so on the other side there will be a barrier last fight, maybe.
ARC-6 certainly against the wall here. They open up with the barrier, dive right in. They have not been able to convert on a single kill off this dive here so far, but they do DMAC Matt. That is a bigger play for them, but FNRGFE, Clockwork coming around the side, was able to find Dante. Now it's 5-on-5, and even in a losing fight, FNRGFE is buying immense amount of time, and they even recap in the middle of it.
They did, however, 2 lost there as Clockwork and Muma had designs of going all the way around the back, and they both got caught in that. There's a nice catch there to find the flank and deal with it, so this will eventually be flipped back over, I think, but 4 coming back on the point.
While FNRGFE, even if this is a losing fight, they're buying time. They forced out the Transcendence from Custa. This is still not bad at all. The only thing here is that if I were Banny, I would save the Transcendence here. I'd back out, wait for a full reset, do not go in any attempt to delay. And no, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to save the Transcendence, and after a reset, FNRGFE will actually have a decent window to go right back in.
Gingerpop must have done work there, though, because they opened that last fight with a barrier, and now he's going to have his own barrier. On the other side, they will have both support ultimates available for FNRGFE. Usually gives the advantage for them. Maybe Dante can throw a wrench in their plans, though.
FNRGFE going to open up with the barrier this time around. They get Custa before he's able to get shielded. He's going to go down immediately, and as a result, FNRGFE comes at the Transcendence, secures 2 extra kills, and it's really now up to Dante to go into the back. He picks up 2, and Dante has equalized this. It is not FNRGFE's point yet.
Yeah, they had to use that. They needed a couple of kills there. Most of the progress has been taken for FNRGFE, but XQC comes in with the Primal Rage, trying to stall out. He's got Zell with him there on the point. Perhaps a Pulse Bomb can swing this too. Brawl has taken too long, and there's been a long time between kills, so could go either way here. Dante comes back in. He has found his Genji prowess in the last few fights.
Well, he's going to need that and more with how these fights have been going, but this is good for ARC-6. They're now 1, maybe 2 fights away from taking this round and pulling it back. So FNRGFE, despite opening with an immense advantage, has sort of let it get away from them, in no small part due to Dante and Gingerpop in the last few fights.
Clockwork's behind. He's got Pulse Bomb. He's looking for supports, whiffs it onto the Zen and has to back out, and Butt forces out the Transcend.
Transcendence is out here, and Custa leading the way. ARC-6 going in deeper, but they don't really have good positioning here. They're getting nullified by Cool Matt's defensive matrix, and they have to push out. They're not able to get the kills off the Transcendence they were looking for. And now, speaking of ambushes, Dante in the back. The blade is out, and the sound barrier saving Buds from what would have been a lethal slash. He's able to turn it right around the tac visor of his own, and suddenly, here comes FNRGFE. It forces out the Desperation sound barrier from ARC-6, but ARC-6 is able to bring it right back. This is now a 4-on-4 in the point.
They're still alive here. The Transcend is going to make sure that this Winston is unable to slug people to death, and the kills now coming in favor of FNRGFE. Muma will also have his own Primal Rage to knock people off the point as we're in overtime, 99-99. Muma jumps onto Custa, takes him out.
Banny, Muma piling on here towards the last bit of cleanup. That final Transcendence was enough for FNRGFE to secure control of the point and take the first map.
He is going to run both. Banny will be on the Sombra, Buds on the Widow. Let's take a look at Buds. Oh!
All right. Well, we are well rewarded for taking a look at Buds as Dante is immediately destroyed. That... My goodness.
Doesn't feel good. Yeah, it's one of Widow's counters too, so that's going to open it up for him. He's going to look for another flick over the top because now without a Genji to try to counter him, he just has the world is his oyster.
Well, this is Oyster, and that is the power of Widowmaker on the stage, where we were seeing Sandy run it yesterday and seeing Buds run it today. And I mean, we've seen people run Widow on Ruins really throughout the time that's been played. It's been one of the few control maps that Widow can make her mark known, and for now, it set FNRG FE on a really good note as they're up a player and they're just able to control space on the point.
Well, it's also about controlling this mega to the right of the point from FNRG FE's perspective anyway. We saw yesterday when you can dominate this pack, it really shuts down some of the flankers too. That's Sombra can deny health packs from the other team, and it really kind of shortens the map for them. They can only operate in certain spaces, and an extra little bonus, she will have EMP up for this next fight.
This is really good for FNRG FE, and also Banny has been surprisingly good on Sombra for a newer team that usually newer teams have trouble playing Sombra. He's gonna drop the EMP right into the backline, and you have Buds in the back looking for pickoffs, but he's not even needed in this fight. Muma and Coolmat immediately finish off what the EMP started. It's 3-0 in favor of FNRG FE for this fight, and that's gonna be forcing ARC6 right back.
Yeah, I love that. Just an ult of opportunity right there. He sees them all clumped up, takes it. Maybe it's not going to be the full team wipe because of just where they're positioned on the map, but you get a couple right there, and mostly going to be supports, and very nice for them. Buds now has the ability to see through walls, and he's going to be trying to pick them off as they come out. The positioning here, they're holding so far forward.
Well, the thing here, too, is that all of FNRG FE can see them setting up in that room, including when they go out, and Muma is right there, uses Primal Rage, gets Ginger Pop out of the fight, and the disruption to the supports is insane. Muma's going for the Zenyatta, and he's going to get Custa as well. It's a double support kill for Muma, and what more do you need from your Winston player? He's playing at a very high level right now.
He has been for the last several months. When this team came together, everyone knew the All-Stars and the veterans on this roster, but Muma has been great on this team, maybe not as well known as some of the other players, but it has just all come together for them, controlling the pack, Banny with an EMP up 2 fights in a row, Bud's controlling space as well, and so far Yikes has not had an answer. They will finally dive in and get some space desperately needed.
They're looking to take the point right now, but FNRG FE still has plenty of people in and around the point. Matt is coming back in, and he's going to lob that self-destruct right in over the top, looking for anything. Not going to get anything offhand, but will be zoning ARC6 out a little bit. And with Buds picking off Ginger Pop, now it comes down to Dante to get more off this blade. He has 5 HP, but a beautiful deflect gets right into Buds, takes him out, and Dante keeping ARC6 in this fight, at least for now.
They're still in a very good position to take this first stage just based on what they have. Of course they have EMP, I mean you can kind of just guess that that's how it is, and they're going to have Barrier. It's going to be interesting to see if they can force out Barrier from Ginger in response and then EMP it off.
Well, Bonnie right now under assault has to blink back or translocate back to get out of the fight, and he's still gonna have the EMP in this next fight, so even though there's 2 support ultimates up right now for the defense, if he can land a good EMP, that might be all it's in. He's going straight for Custa. Custa eliminated with ease. EMP is Zenyatta's worst nightmare, and with those 2 kills, FNRG FE might be well on their way to taking the first round.
2 kills in, the Barrier post that, but it is a 4v6 in that situation. Custa's so slow to get back here. He does have Transcend if they can do so, but just cleaning up the point. Ginger Pop not able to be back with Custa to get out. Zenyatta comes in, but it's probably too late here. Desperation time, though.
Well, it is desperation time, and this is where you hope that Za can turn things around. This is where you look to your Tracer, but Buds also looks to the Tracer and takes her out with 1 well-placed shot. That should be all FNRG FE needs here, but a little bit of last-moment effort coming in from ARC6. XQC staying alive for a while on the point, but there is a limit to these things as space. Now the next man up to delay.
He's out of mech right now. They will be able to clean him up, and the wick burns down quickly. Just nice play. I think this is a style we will see out of a lot of teams, whether it's Widow, whether it's Sombra, whether it's both of them. There's definitely a different meta on Ruins, and almost always has been.
I like it. I mean, I wish we had more control maps in the tune of Ruins, just because a lot of control maps do sort of go towards a more standard dive composition. But you do see a little bit more variety in Ruins. It looks like we need a pause going in here.
Not everyone knows.
Something going on here with ARC6.
Yeah, I
not sure if someone's disconnecting. Perhaps it's a little bit more tactical. You never know. Maybe someone had the emergency run to the bathroom.
Well, maybe our admin had to run to. There it is. Whew,
okay,
last second. It's like when they stop the bomb at 2 seconds in every sort of movie, right? 0.2 seconds remain.
0.2 seconds. We wanted the players to feel a little bit of suspense there.
We were talking a bit about MacGyver yesterday, but that's a MacGruber ploy, you know, trying to defuse the bomb, but it goes off. into pharmacies, but Clockwork takes out his counterpart on the ground. You know what's been interesting is some of Clockwork's early picks have been assisted by Mercy. If he finds a target, he will get those damage boosts early on. Another assist from Clockwork, from Mercy with another Clockwork kill. It's interesting.
Well, they've just hemmed in Arc 6 here. They're getting just flanked from all sides. They took refuge on the point, but the point was basically a tomb for them. They get pushed out really decisively after Dante ended up falling, so not quite the best engagement coming out here from Arc 6, and FNRG FE already starting out on a very good note.
It's just really interesting to see Banny in the assist feed for those Clockwork kills. I mean, it means that he's rotating and really smart about it. Because of that, he will have 97% on res. Clockwork and Buds also have ultimates, but Custa could bring this fight back. He's got a resurrection of his own.
And if they were able to get a good resurrection here after a pickoff, that would be what you'd want to pull this fight in your favor. But XQC gets taken out, not able to be protected by Space there, forces out the solo res on the XQC. And this is a tempo res barely to keep pace here. It's not something that wins you the fight, it's something that keeps you in the fight. And FNRGFE just punishing XQC again. He leaps to the back, takes a rocket to the face, and that is going to be a one fight here for FNRGFE.
All right. Small correction on my sellout. I think I said go to overbuff for your TF2 heroes. It's not my fault. Look at all these TF2 players we have in this game. Go to overbuff for all your favorite Overwatch heroes and stats. Sorry, guys. My apologies.
Wow.
I
can't believe you've done this.
Well, I'm gonna. It's Clockwork's fault. I blame Clockwork.
Are you just blaming Clockwork, his dreamy hair, his ability to play Tracer in a way that makes you think of older years? Or are we going to be talking about Buds here, going in for Zav? Zav versus Buds in over the top. And while that's going on, Clockwork's able to get to the back line, punishes Custa immediately. There will not be another resurrection here for Arc 6, and they are just getting punished from all sides.
Well, Clockwork does finally go down, but an insta-res will bring him back to life, and FNRG FE continues to punish. However, during this, Arc 6 was able to grab the point. They will start putting some percentage on, but that is small solace as they continue to get cleaned up off this point. Space now out of the mech and out of the fight, 82%. So far, it has been all FNRG FE, mostly in the ground war going on. Buds has had contributions, but it's largely been their Tracer play.
Clockwork has had a very good round here so far, but he's also had plenty of space to work with. Also, I do feel like, speaking of space, Space and XQC have not been in sync for most of this round here so far, and it's hurt them, where XQC will get focused down early or vice versa. In any case, this is the final attempt to retake this here for Arc 6. They are rolling right in. And they're focusing on the point, but they're giving FNRGFE so many avenues to just attack them from all ends. This time around, though, they execute the death ball a little bit better. They're able to take down Matt early on, and Bud says, that's enough, going for the reset.
Yep, Bud's off the edge. Banny will join him there, too, but they will have Barrage for Barrier. I mean, they're loading up a bunch of alts on their side. The big thing is that they will have both of their support alts, whereas Arc 6 will only have one of them, unless Ginger Pop just goes absolutely ham. Now, it's nice tank positioning here from Arc 6 to hold up top to deny the easy entry, at least.
Arc 6 is trying to make things a little bit tougher here in FNRGFE, but Bud slowly blimping his way over right now. You see, and look at Muma and Matt, they're coming in around the side, so they're very quickly getting better positioning here onto Arc 6. Arc 6 has again put themselves in the corner, and this time it costs them. Space gets demeched immediately. Bud's coming in over the top for the finish, and that is 4-1 in favor of FNRGFE. They force out the early resurrection, and we'll see if the resurrection will be enough to turn this back around, but FNRGFE just looking very much in control right now.
Absolutely. They almost lost Banny off the edge, and he still does not have a hero to fly to. Banny is just going to slowly die off of the edge after a late concussion. Knocks him down. However, they equalize as Custa's taken out of the fight as well. This Primal Rage doing some work on the point. Still a brawl here, though. Flipped.
It's a brawl, but yeah, it's flipped back for FNRGFE after they did lose control for a bit, but Stahl's coming out here from the side of Arc 6, and it's Dante putting in the heavy lifting. It was earlier in the round, it was Clockwork. Now it is Dante coming in and getting crucial Tracer kills, and Banny is in his sights. Banny having to use every bit of levitation to his advantage, going far away from Dante, but Buds dunks on him, comes back in, protects his Mercy, and FNRGFE getting back into this fight, even though they are at a bit of a disadvantage right now.
Za hits a mile away rocket onto Banny, who was floating out over the edge. That is the advantage we thought that ArcSix might have while choosing Ilios, is that their air battles might just be a little bit better, and if they lose anyone, Custa can bring them back to life with Resurrection available.
Well, right now, this has been much better here for ArcSix. The Sound Bears coming out. They still have the Resurrection in reserve. They're trying to finish this one out strong. And they've really brought this back towards the very end. FNRG FE was lost some of the dominance that they had going for them here. Clockwork under hot pursuit, just trying to delay, going round and round, buying time for Matt to get back in. But it's Buds coming in over the top. Dispatches XQC and Space, both tanks going down, but Custa right there for the res.
They will res, and then Banny falls soon after. It is all blood red in the kill feed now. They will start bringing it back just a little bit, though. Both supports down for ArcSix if they can sustain a little bit and get reinforcements, but too late. Self-destruct clears out the point from Space, and we're tied up in Ilios 1-1.
One thing that is worth noting there is that even though it did not work out for them at all in the very beginning, I do wonder if FNRGFE got a little bit too aggressive versus ArcSix's death ball defense there, because in the beginning, ArcSix was just getting wrecked. Later on, ArcSix was holding back, and they're actually able to isolate out, get a few kills, and Dante had room to work towards the back. So it did feel like ArcSix had a little bit better execution going into the latter half of that round.
Well, there were a couple times that Banny just got crushed. One, he got booped off the edge and none of his team was available to get to the edge to help him back up, and it was the saddest sight watching a Mercy slowly descend into the depths of the ocean over there. And then he was hanging out in the same spot and not really moving that well, and Za was able to take him out with a rocket, so they just really were able to take out Banny a couple times there and switch that fight around.
So we will be having Pharah v Pharah here in play once more. Za versus Buds taking place in over the top. Za instead going for the ground war, applying pressure to the back line. While he does that, Boink says boop right to Space, gets him out of the way. Into the well he goes, and Za right now under pressure to the back line, having to dodge Buds, but not for long. Buds finishes his plate, uses the height advantage to his advantage, and now is able to finish up on Custa as well. So Buds, plenty of room to work with. FNRGFE looking like they'll be taking this first point.
Yeah, XQC ended up coming around from a strange angle away from his team, but they were able to see him in time, and Buds now cleans up. First point capture will go to FNRG FE. Now they have Sky Control, going to be bombing rockets in over the top. Very difficult to reestablish your combo after this point is taken.
And there is something to be said for the advantage that a defending Pharah has here, where you have more time to get to the air, you have more time to observe the approach, and you have more time to decide, do you want to go for the other Pharah or deep dive in on the approaching offense. So a lot of options here for Buds, and he's going to choose to focus on the ground for now. Looking for Dante, looking to deal damage to the tanks as they go in. And speaking of tanks, XQC is going so deep! You cannot be deeper than XQC! You have a 5-on-1 here, XQC taking on the entire team, and yet he's able to get out, and ArcSix is able to get control of the points, so that time it works out very well for XQC.
It forced the rest of his team to go back and try to help Banny, as he was the primary target, and a lot of that happened because Muma got in very deep early on, and his rest of the team had to play around him. The positioning was not grand from him that time. He's had a good set, but both of these Winstons went very deep on the other team, but XQC's chase was smarter. He had Primal Raid.
So one thing FNRGFE is really good at doing is diving back and dealing with an over-aggressive tank. There was literally a 1v5, 1v6 into the back, and XQC lives, so he's had trouble living in those situations in this game, but the fact that he was able to get out of there was a key difference this time around. And now FNRGFE on the back foot, down 10%, having to find a way of getting back in. They do have the resources in their advantage, but that early pickoff is likely going to force the early resurrection.
It's very nice. They might res this, but they're going to wait for Barrage to finish to see if that happens. Yeah, Barrage finishes. Buds does go down, but he brings back both Buds and Clockwork here. Custa with a res of his own, I believe, brings back Ginger Pop in space, so we're pretty much reset here.
We are pretty much reset, but ArcSix gets way more off their resurrection, and they're able to maintain control. Bud's right now flying alone, and he's going to take 2 rockets where the sun don't shine. ArcSix suddenly coming back, and off of the fair play of Za, they've really been able to get a better control of this game.
Buds did dome Custer right before he died, though, so they might be able to turn this in their advantage. Positioning now better in favor of FNRG FE. Matt does get desuited, though. It's so close to flipping this back over, but last second stepping onto the point.
Don't tell Za that he doesn't have a Mercy, by the way, because he's been alive for way too long, almost invisible to FNRG FE as he floats in and around. And finally, he does have a little bit of pressure coming on him. He goes into the back, and he will fall. So FNRG FE, it's in overtime. This is a case where they must now flip the point to their favor. They will, but they have to defend for 3 to 4 fights now, Hex.
Yeah, these fights have been really long, though, so it might end up only being 2 as kind of the nature of this stage on Ilios. Trying to see what they got going. Dante could hit a pulse bomb, although both Tracers have been kind of quiet just based on their pulse bombs. Their regular play has been great. And Resurrection will be up for both teams, so it is, again, hide and go Mercy.
Hide and go Mercy. That is quite the game. I mean, the problem is it always ends in the death of one Mercy. It seems like a pretty volatile game, if nothing else. But right now, Buds holding back, and FNRG FE not going as deep as you'd expect here early on. Buds keeping his space, and Muma, the one person who was poking out, punished. So they're going to use the Resurrection to bring him back up. It is a tempo res to say the least. And FNRG FE just struggling to isolate targets this time around. Clockwork, though, gets it going. Gets into the back, gets what he's looking for. But very close here as Custom pulls out a Resurrection of his own.
Forces out the res. Clockwork trying to do it all on his own. A barrage also comes in, so that means Buds, of course, will die at the end of that one. Not before he takes out Dante. Extremely back and forth between these two teams. A very protracted fight, and like I said, these have been long fights. May very well be the last one. Still not able to switch it over is Arc 6 so far, but those quick kills should be able to do it eventually.
Za with plenty of room, sends a rocket right into Banny. The sky is his oyster right now. Bud's coming in, last moment effort, will not have a Mercy supporting him, and Za just deep dives in with Dante. That's going to be the end of Buds. Overtime is in progress, but FNRG FE, again, after an early start, finding this one slipping away from them as Clockwork dispatched with authority.
I don't think Muma likes that stage very much. He had a rough stage. He died early in all of those fights. He went in too deep. It didn't seem like Matt was with him a lot of the time. Muma was in 1v3s, 1v4s, and unable to get out so often. And that forced Banny to try to help him out in some situations. You saw him dive deep. That giant dive in from XQC was because he saw Banny come in to try to help Muma out and knew that he could chase him to the back line. But this is good RNG for FNRG FE, as this was a map they dominated earlier.
Well, they ran the Widow option, and they ran the Widow option well, and one thing that people tend to forget is that if you want a hero that's really good against Pharah, especially if you have the space to use it, it is Widowmaker, so, and that's why you're seeing right now, even though I think Za would like to run the Pharah here, he has to go to the Genji because you simply do not want to run that matchup against Buds when you have a high likelihood that you will be dealing with the Widowmaker.
We'll see if Buds can hit another opening flick shot, grapple shot rather, as he comes over top, does not see anyone. They're playing around it. They must have the inkling. Yeah, they're just going through house right now. Good playing around the expected composition of FNRG FE. They're just going to try to find Buds and dive him right away. That's why you see this goofy rotation.
That was XQC's plan. XQC was deciding, you know what, we're going to go to the back, we're going to take out Buds, and Buds just gives him the old rope-a-dope where he comes around the other side, gets to the new backline, which is the old enemy backline, and because they're all chasing Buds, they're not paying enough attention to Matt. Punishes XQC and Space. Cool Matt vanquishing both of his opposing number tanks.
Buds just running for his life. They will grab first point. A nice play by Space, though. He scooped 2 right off the edge with that D.Va, so he got a couple of kills. But as I mentioned, first capture went to FNRG FE. If they can just stay alive a little bit, they should be able to get a good percentage on this point. Clockwork taking out the opposing Zenyatta is a good start there.
Well, yeah, they dropped the EMP, but they also got dropped in turn. Not quite the highest value EMP they might have been looking for here. Reinforcements coming in fast and furious here for the side of Arc 6, and they're just trying to flip the point. Clockwork will do his best to delay here, going in and around. Has the Hacked Sombra pack that he can go to for extra health regeneration, and we'll see how effective this delay is. They are buying themselves a lot of time.
Yeah, some pretty good stall. At the very last second, though, they take out Clockwork before Muma can get back in, so the point flipped over in favor of Arc 6. Buds still on this Widow, now has the ability to see through walls with his ultimate, and now everyone has to hide. They heard that. Everyone playing very defensively in Arc 6.
Remember back when you didn't get a notification that Widow could see everything? But speaking of, here comes Dragon Blade on the way, and he is just punished by Muma, not able to cut through the tanks. And look at this. You have Ginger Pop getting to the back to chase Buds. You have a very aggressive Lucio coming out here. He is out for blood. The French woman is running. Ginger Pop on the way. This is one of the more aggro Lucios I think I've seen as he almost gets booped off the ledge.
Everyone wants a piece of Bud so far, but it's actually it's made him much less effective. I don't know if you necessarily want your Lucio being the one to do it, and a peek there almost cost Custa his life. Barrier comes in for the side of FNRGFE as they try to retake the point. Custa out of the fight.
It's answered by another Baron turn, and Ginger Pop is still chasing Buds. This is the most aggro Lucio and Widowmaker action I've seen as Ginger Pop gets full kill credit for going after Buds. So, what world do we live in right now, Hex?
Well, a late EMP is going to be a world without abilities is what it is, and XQC goes down quickly in turn, so does Za. After that EMP hit a lot more people. You see the Sombras all in the assist kill feed there, as they are able to clean up that fight. 71% on the side of Arc 6, though, as it is turned back over to FNRGFE.
I think Bud's had enough of getting chased by Lucio. He is now on 76. I don't know if the Lucio pressure had anything to do with it, but it was more effective than it probably had any right to be.
He's been running for his life this entire game, so they're just focusing him down. He's not going to be as effective. And already Ginger Pop running to the background. This is super aggro from Arc 6.
Well, you know what? He's doing more Hex running as Soldier 76, but he wasn't able to get away. Primal Rage ending his life as XQC diving him with reckless abandon. Control points still in favor of FNRGFE in terms of control, but Za pulling out the Light Dragon Blade, that's going to be enough to secure things for Arc 6. 72% to 73 as FNRGFE actually running out of options here on Ilios. If they do not win the next fight, Hex, they very well could lose the round and the map.
Absolutely. They do have EMP to work with, though. An EMP can be a game changer, a tide turner at the very least. They would like to get it onto Custa, as Zenyatta just kind of evaporates once EMP'd. See where Banny can find an angle here. They're actually playing a little bit spread out. Smart to play around this EMP.
Gonna get hit by the EMP, and Buma is right there at the punish. Can't dash away when the lights are out. Custa gonna try and solidify here. Comes out the Transcendence, keeping them alive. But it's very back and forth here between both teams. Both teams down one. But it's Dante coming in, demecking Matt, and setting the stage here for Arc 6 as they start taking a more dominant position on the point.
The worst possible thing to see post-EMP is the opponent transcending. That means you miss the Zenyatta, and he's going to keep everyone alive in an area which they should be vulnerable. Very difficult there. Now Muma comes in, does just crunch too with his Primal Rage.
Muma is the lifesaver right now. This fight was going very much... Oh no! Not able to stay on the point.
FNRG, FEC9. Let's just keep adding stuff. Let's just keep adding stuff.
No, you forgot the 69, I believe, Hex.
Yeah, the truth is out there. Willing to believe, indeed. Bud's gonna flex onto the Genji here, so, you know, a bit of a switch up there. Offensively, I don't think you're gonna see this Widow. No, Ginger Pop will switch. You might actually see the Reaper, though. I think this is a map that he could be good on. There's a lot of close quarters fighting, especially near the gas tanks at Earls.
There are, and we've actually seen defenses really change up how they like engaging here. There's a point where teams would always hold back on Big Earls, the gas station, and wait for the offense to come to them, utilizing the advantage that position gives. But now you see teams being more aggressive, where already you look at Buma and Matt, they're going to be looking for early poke here as the offense comes in. So the offense doesn't even really get to turn the corner for free anymore.
Yeah, so is Banny. He's actually behind everyone, but they run away from him. He gets very minimal damage before he has to translocate out because his timer was running down right there. So the early Sombra play has not translated into a huge percentage, but as soon as someone gets a pack, there it is, giant chunk. Sombra at 71% already.
Buma was very close to going down there, barely saved by Matt, but that has been the difference for FNRGFE's tank coordination, where you see these times where Buma will save Matt or vice versa. Now, instead of being down to Winston, Buma's back up, and the EMP already charged. Banny setting the stage into the back, able to get out, and Matt diving in to take advantage, and yet, it's a good reaction here from the side of Arc 6 are able to reconsolidate around each other after the EMP. They demech Matt, and they still might be turning this fight in their favor.
It may not be the flashiest or sexiest of plays, but I love a good retreat in Overwatch. I think it's the next level a lot of teams need to take. Their Clockwork does end up taking out Ginger and himself during that. Some pulse bomb action from both sides, but a lot of push incoming here. And right now, on the back foot is FNRGFE's defense. Boink just going to try to stall out the card. He's tired of seeing it move. He will pay with his life as XQC dispatches him in short order.
Hex, I will say with logic like that, when it comes to retreats, you would make a great Joestar. I know you don't get that reference,
Nope.
but believe me, it is true. It is absolutely true. XQC, though, diving into the back, looking to make space, and oh, he gets EMP'd. He thought he'd be able to Primal Rage this one, but he cannot do that with that ability being locked out. Self-destruct in over the top from space, looking to stem the tide of F Energy FE as they come in, and this, oh, Buds has slept, was going for the cleanup Dragon Blade, slept into the back line and eliminated. And F Energy FE actually getting pushed back a bit here. They dove in really deeply, expecting the Dragon Blade contribution, and it does not happen because of a great sleep dart out from Custa.
While they do try to Death Blossom on the card, there is some stall coming in from Muma, but just not enough HP there. I mean, if you're XQC and they solo EMP you, that's a compliment, right? I mean, is the only person they EMP'd.
It definitely is, and yeah, I mean, they were able to kill XQC, they stopped him from using Primal Rage, but now the downside is that they still ended up losing the fight, and XQC will have Primal for the next fight, so that is the one downside of EMP, and we talked about when it first came out, is that EMP can win you fights by stopping people from using their ults, but then you have to deal with the ultimates on the next fight.
Yeah, that is the slight downside that a lot of people don't consider. Clockwork does have Pulse Bomb ready. He's looking for a target. He just, I don't know if that got eaten or not. Regardless, it gets absolutely nothing. Threw it near a defense matrix. I don't know if that sound is in the live patch yet. And that sound
It is not.
I need a goofier and louder sound, like an old-timey car horn. That's what the noise should be.
Just loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's just like, why are you honking this? But speaking of honking, you have Matt right now staying near the payload with Muma. They're going to dive in together, but Za on the Reaper right now, trying to control a little bit more space, and it's making this Death Ball pretty good for Arc 6. The part where if a Reaper who is unchecked can lay in that consistent wall of damage, and even though he's not getting the credit in the kill feed as much as you might think, he's been vital to giving Arc 6 the room they need right now.
Absolutely, and this is how we've seen Route 66 happen lately. There's almost no defense that happens on second except for stallouts. The defense will find itself in a better position on last, but this is the typical style of a pure escort map, so where you see first and second point very difficult to defend, but teams will throw bodies onto stall. That's exactly what Matt does as he comes out. He gets Death Blossomed right away, but it's the only person Death Blossomed.
I feel like Death Blossom is in a state right now where you deal with so much D.Va that if you get any kills, it's usually worth. Speaking of kills and worth, Buds versus Custa. Gonna grab Custa, but that was really good on Custa's part. He still put Buds under enough pressure that Buds had to go for the deflect, and it wasted most of the blade time.
Yeah, just trying to get stalled out there. It's been hard to watch teams because that's all they're really doing is throwing bodies just to buy seconds on that point. Very difficult to pull it back without a hero like 3-person elimination blade, something along those lines. This is generally where the defense starts to stabilize. A little bit narrower, a little bit more distance created already. You see Bud switch over to the 76 because of this.
The defense will make more space in this final point, but the problem is that's 3.5 minutes here for Arc 6. They've been setting a very good time so far on this map. F Energy FE has kind of struggled to find their footing, and really, I mean, I would go back to that sleep dart from Custa on the Buds that opened things up, stopped F Energy FE from stabilizing, and they've been on the back foot ever since, and here they go again. XQC leaping in. Primal Rage gonna keep him alive, the Transcendent supporting all the while, but it's a very nice disengage from F Energy FE as Muma buys some space in the back and gets away with 30 HP.
Well, Self-Destruct comes in over the top, but is not going to hit anyone over the top on the other side now. Then XQC just drops a fish tank over it. A beautiful counter to that Self-Destruct from XQC, using his barrier just to isolate the Self-Destruct. Still kind of bloodless here on the point as both tanks jockeying from position around the cart, trying to get Cleave in. Clockwork misses a Pulse Bomb again.
This has been a game of disengages. This is some of the longest Overwatch I've seen without major deaths from either side when both teams have been trying to dive each other, but now it appears like the time is coming in. 2 kills coming out here, 1 kill coming out here from the side of Arc 6. They're able to demech Matt and take him out, and yet still, FNRGFE, perhaps there's a limit to their ability to disengage. Muba's going to fall, Banny under pressure, the dam has broken, and the flood of Arc 6 is leading its way right in.
Well, I mean, disengaged by going into spawn at this point, back against the wall quite literally. Matt will come out and stall for half a second, but they finish with 2:02 on the clock. A very nice offense. I'm a little surprised we saw almost zero stabilization there from FNRGFE. They never really won a fight.
No, they didn't. Even though they had very good disengages, they have really been struggling to get the initial kill to snowball in, and I mean, I would point to 2 things here. One is that I do think the Reaper gave Arc 6 a little bit more punching power than FNRGFE was used to. And then the other thing I note here too is that I think after starting out the day very, very dominant, I do feel like Clockwork has tailed off a bit. He's been under more pressure. He's been finding it more difficult to get early pickoffs. And without the immediate kill contribution, FNRGFE has struggled to really get anything going.
It's just a map that it becomes difficult to reset and fight as a team, and you saw that from FNRGFE, where they were still alive but trickling in one by one. They never really set as 6, and one of their strengths is when Matt and Muma can be out there together, and that happened very rarely on this map.
Did indeed, and now, as we go to FNRGFE's attack, they have to set a good time here, X. 202 is not an easy time to beat on Route 66. I would say it is far, far above the average that you see on this map, and in fact, many teams don't even complete it outright. So, in terms of getting back into the series, Arc 6 is well positioned to actually be going up 2-1 on FNRGFE. Of course, for those who weren't watching Contenders, FNRGFE was the bane of Arc 6. They were the team that knocked them out of Contenders Season 1. So, if nothing else, there's a lot of pride on the line here for Arc 6 as they look to turn the series back in their favor.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we'll see if the defense is able to hold up. Now, this is a little bit of a different variation on the Sombra defense. Some teams are flexing their support onto a Sombra, which I think is the smarter move, just to giving your damage output. But now they're going to run what is essentially a triple support. I mean, however you want to classify Sombra, that's fine, but a lot of teams will not run 2 supports and a Sombra. That is exactly what Arc 6's defense is running.
There's different setups that we've been seeing with Sombra, and this is one we've been seeing a little bit less as of late. It does put a lot of pressure on Dante to land very good EMPs to compensate for the lack of offensive power that you're going to have. It also puts a lot of pressure on the Za to be just amazing on Tracer. But the dive is coming in immediately here from FNRGFE, and Buds is just dunked on. XQC was there with the punish immediately, and that already forces FNRGFE back.
It was actually a decent looking dive. They all got in there at the same time, but just the damage output too high for them to deal with. Dante already has his EMP. My goodness, that ultimate charges quickly.
And the reason why EMP is so good in this situation is that if you can get over a team and disable all of them, you just have a very good engagement opportunity that really puts them on the back foot. Meanwhile, you take a look at how FNRGFE is setting up here. They are running with the Reaper offense themselves. It does give them more punching power, and it does let them grab XQC, who dives in, but Za is there! That is a key to this composition, is that when you're running what is effectively a triple support comp, you need high contribution from your Tracer, and when you can get a double kill pulse bomb like that, you're certainly getting what you need.
Not necessarily their Tracer main either. Dante's been playing a lot of it when they need him to, so good contribution there from Za, who, again, there's a lot of heroes or players that have to answer some of these questions of are they one-tricks or not. Za was thought of a Pharah one-trick, but has shown a lot lately.
And Za right now, very comfortable going to the backline, controlling space, going to draw the attention to Matt, but even that is not bad. He drew Matt off of the front line, pulled him back, and now gets to rotate back with his team. Soundbarrier comes in from FNRGFE though. Not only is that going to set them up for the early kill and Ginger Pop, but Buds about to have a play, but there goes the EMP. It's still a moment of opportunity here for the side of Arc 6, and they take advantage. Muma's out of the fight, and XQC cleans up the rest.
Able to knock Clockwork off the edge and put them all in the corner to deal with a very nice Primal Rage, change the absolute positioning of that fight. And look at the clock. That 202 on the clock is how long they had left after they finished. 1:48 to even get to first point for FNRGFE.
This has been tortured for FNRGFE, and don't forget, this was their map choice. They wanted to bring it to Route 66. Never forget that they chose this battlefield, and it is actually appearing like they are somewhat unprepared here. They're not running the Reaper as well. Their engages have been less good than what we've come to expect, and Buds goes with the Blade. His Blades have been rough here so far, this entire map, but this time around, he's getting a little bit more. It's going to be at least 2 before it's all said and done. Custa puts an end to it, but the damage has been done.
Bud's able to get to the backline, takes out both of the tanks early. That opened it up for Clockwork, who Death Blossomed on the card, able to take out the Lucio as well. But that fight happened so far back that there will be yet another. And guess what is up for Sombra?
EMP.
Yeah, probably.
She can turn out the lights again. She's really good at turning out the lights, as it turns out. But FNRGFE, they're going to have to deal with this EMP. It comes right over the top. Clockwork cannot Wraith form. He cannot use anything to get away from this, but he gets healed up immediately. The support is there. It keeps him in the fight. Banny there with the Bionade. And FNRGFE not out of this fight yet. It's a decent response to what was a good EMP. But now, Arc 6 is going to double down. They come in with the sound barrier and deeply dive in the FNRGFE. They're able to demech Matt. And FNRGFE losing lots of ground here.
Well, 30 seconds left, they have to find something. They're going to boost Clockwork, and old Beyblade not going to get the speed boost that he needs, unable to hit the shots he needs to on Ginger Pop, and they're going to go in right now. Barrier into Blade.
Barrier into Blade, and FNRGFE still making this work. They have to invest pretty much everything they have left ult-wise, but they have a decent performance right now on the point. And I gotta say, Hex, when it comes to Beyblade, it's kind of like a broken top that doesn't quite work right anymore. It's like, I still have this toy, but it's not great.
How can a top break? It's just a
I don't know. Ask Reaper now that he does have movement speed, Hex.
Well, they do get a couple kills there, Tanks out of it again, but Space is able to punish Clockwork. Still not over yet for the defense here. They're going to have a self-destruct too if they need it. That's exactly what they're going to do to try to zone out the cart right up over the top. Space able to take down Banny. Boink now out of it as well. They take both supports. Not looking good for our favorite team with a corn dog logo.
It's a bad time to be a stockholder in corn dogs, at least how Route 66 has gone, where you think about the timeline of this matchup. Map 1, FNRGFE comes out completely on fire, dominating. Great games for Clockwork, great space control. And now it feels like their space control has been less dominant. And I would also note here, if you're looking at the DPS, I do feel like Buds has really struggled in the last two maps. He has not had the performance that he did back on map 1, or the performance that we know he's capable of. He did have a few good stints as Widowmaker, but his Genji in this particular map was not necessarily where it needed to be.
No big plays. I think you can spread the blame however you want on FNRGFE. And again, the interesting thing was that was their map choice. They looked a little bit lost. They will get another map choice as we give the well, I don't want to say loser, the not winner of the previous map next choice.
Not winner is also loser.
Come on. It's all
I'm
about
just saying.
Connotation, you know, the optics on the language.
Sometimes people have to lose, Hex. That is the way of the world. And right now, FNRGFE is doing a glorious job of that, much to the chagrin of anyone who might be rooting against Arc 6, where Arc 6, I feel like they have very much cleaned up their play, going from map to map, where even though map 1 might have been rough, we've been seeing less over-aggression. He's not confined to an Apex booth anymore. Who knows what he could be tweeting while on the payload.
And tweeting on the cart, that is kind of his MO. Defensively, this is what you see run on Anubis all the time. Some teams have been slow to run the Sombra on first instead switching to their second. Of course, I think that's a huge mistake to make, and they're going to run defensive Sombra on first.
Totally fine with running the defensive Sombra on first here, coming out from FNRGFE. I would say that in general, anytime on Anubis you can defend for even one push, it is generally a victory, the way that defenses have gone here as of late. So, but even if they're not able to, one point you bring up a lot, Hex, which is very true, is that Banny, even in a losing fight, should be very close to have EMP to defend second, even if you have Arc 6 coming in with a heavy momentum-based offense.
Well, that might be up for debate if Custa stays on this offensive Sombra. It will be a battle of the hackers here trying to take packs away from each other. Of course, defense going to be in a better position here to take early packs, especially the giant mega up top, which is where most defenses set up.
So Banny right now will be able to walk down some packs from hacking. Custa will not have access to them. You cannot hack something another Sombra has hacked, and Banny right now at least playing, getting the firewalls up here, Hex. You have to make sure that you're not getting hacked in turn.
Well, they're just going to play around the other Mega on the other side of the map. So just a little poke war. They're all trying to take damage so that they can keep eating packs, and right now, it's actually pretty smart from Arc 6. They're not even trying to really do that much damage. Now they finally go in, but because of that, they've had a hard time building the EMP on the defensive side.
They have. Custa is way ahead, although he was way ahead. Banny getting a big boost here as someone eats one of his health packs, gobbles it right up. 80% to 80% on the Sombra EMP war. And you're right, Arc 6 is not being as aggressive on this dive-in, but now they are able to get a big opportunity. They find Banny out. There will be no EMP for the defense, and already this is looking very good for Arc 6 as they start piling on kill after kill.
The really nice thing is I don't think they even have to use EMP here. They can save it for the next fight. So with that EMP battle just delayed on one side or the other, Bud's the only one alive on the point. They will take him out in short order here. So going into this next fight, the advantage does seem to be in the offense largely because of the barrier. Now the question is, can Banny peel that barrier off? Does he have to use it earlier? A lot is going to depend on which Sombra has the better positioning and the better timing for their electromagnetic pulse.
I think it comes down to Banny here, where so long as Banny is not hit by an early offensive EMP, if he can land the EMP right now, going into the middle of all of this, it'd be very good for FNRGFE, and no, he doesn't feel like he has the opportunity. So this is a game of chicken right now between both Sombras. If Custa can EMP Banny first, it's going to be very good for the offense. If Banny can EMP them first, it's going to be very good for the defense. And he definitely wants to do it while they're all in this room. So we'll see how the fall through goes here, but it is tense right now between these two Sombras. The EMP doesn't hit Banny. Banny can counter EMP, and he does. The counter EMP comes right out. Buds with a blade of his own, not hit by the EMP anymore, and he is going to clean up. It's 3 kills for Buds, and we said it would come down to the EMPs, and the fact that Banny was not hit was huge for FNRGFE.
Yeah, great positioning from him there. The cleanup chase from Clockwork will take down both Custa and Za, and now the advantage does switch to the defense here in this situation. Trying to go into an EMP and guessing it is a little bit difficult, and it's also somewhat difficult for a Sombra to build up the ultimate. You don't have a lot of great packs outside of the point. You have to kind of take over a room and maybe hack one of those if you're really trying to build up. There is the Mega on left side, though, which some teams will start using and rotating around if they continue to play an offensive Sombra.
And we'll see just how Arc 6 decides to rotate around now. They don't quite have the momentum that they had before. It is going to be a tale of two Sombras still, but they're at 40% right now. So now it's more how do the other players play around this. Both teams have barriers. One barrier is going to be dropped. Boink, will you drop the barrier in turn? And no, he's not in a good position to do it. He's in the underpass. He can't drop a barrier on his team. Now able to work his way back up, and he drops it now. Advantage to FNRGFE with the later barrier and staying alive. And they're still struggling to convert on kills here. You see Arc 6 working the outskirts, and they're actually able to take down Luma, so it's not the worst for Arc 6 right now, Hex.
But it's been a little bit slow on both sides. The defensive EMP will come in and now space out of mech. Za taken out, that should be it. Generally when you get 1 or 2 kills on defense, the offense needs to retreat. They try to do just that. Here's a small window though. As Custa died, he still has EMP, and they know EMP was just used by Banny. Now the question is, can he get it back up in time? That's why Boink is not healing Matt. They both have damage onto them. Actually, Boink now recovering. They need to be using packs, really. They need to be helping Banny out, but they don't. They don't use the packs.
The one upside for them, though, is that even though Custa has the EMP, there's absolutely nothing to combo with it coming in here. So they can do an EMP and look for a raw pickoff, but they won't have the impact that you would if you had something else big to combo with it, like, say, a Death Blossom or even a Self-Destruct over the top. So they're going to have to go for the EMP and look for kills the old-fashioned way early on. There's the EMP. But Buds was staying in the back, wasn't hit by it, and is able to bring out the Blade. Blade is out, and Bud's looking for anything here. Gonna demech D.Va, take down the baby D.Va, and look for a little bit more as Ginger Pop is under assault.
Both tanks out of this. There goes Custa. Defense will hold. It's just that simple, and now on defense they'll have EMP for the next fight. I mean, really it's just become Temple of EMP, Temple of Sombra, whatever you want to call it, but this has been the meta that we've seen from both teams. However, Custa knows that they don't have the window, is going to switch over to the Ana instead, maybe trying to get an early sleep onto his Sombra, something along those lines, but we've seen some success with teams running Roadhog on the entry, even Modern Roadhog because it helps negate Sombra, and McCree because of the flashbang.
We have, and now we see Arc 6 going around the side here again. I think they want to draw FNRGFE into a very clustered death ball fight, especially because they have the Reaper. If FNRGFE is smart, they don't want to go into this quite in that way. They don't want to give Za his ideal fight. You do have Buds. Oh, Buds is slept. This is a big opportunity. The barrier comes in from the defense. They're not able to follow it up. The barrier effectively wasted. Buds killed after the sleep, and now you have a real 65 opportunity with a barrier for Arc 6 if they play this right.
Ginger Pop has been waiting the entire time to try to barrier his team. He's been waiting for it to be post-EMP. He does grab a couple in his barrier. All in favor of the offense so far. A Death Blossom will de-suit Cool Matt. Self-Destruct gets them off of the point. They do lose XQC though, and Buds could bring this back with a Blade. That is a couple of kills late. Did they even get a tick? I don't think so.
They were really close to getting a tick, but you're right. Right now, I think they're just off by the slimmest of margins. Defense has to be careful, though, because they're still under pressure right now. Dante and Space on the point, working in and around. So if they get off for even a moment, they will get that tick.
Yeah, they do have to be careful of their positioning, but
oh, no,
now
Space.
It's all over but the crying as D.Va goes away, and I don't know, maybe, yep, there it goes, reverting the progress onto that point. Now 90 seconds remain for the offense to find something special here. They will have a boost. Do you think you just kind of junk rush this maybe, hope to bait out an EMP? Teams have been so good about avoiding that, but they don't really have
I think
all
you're
the
going to see
tools they
ARC6
need.
go for this. I think they're going for the same approach that they've been going for this entire time. Hope to not get pulse bombed, and oh, well, throw that hope away. Because Clockwork was right there with the pulse bomb, and XQC just getting body blocked to death and slowly electrocuted by Muma. Probably felt good for Muma given some of the recent interactions between those two.
All right. I want to see
52 seconds left.
Yeah, momentarily they had a Roadhog going there, and I think that can still be good to get those initial pick, but this is probably going to be the last good push, especially if they use ults for the offense. EMP comes out.
EMP is out here early on from Banny. Will there be the fall through? There is. Buds dashing through two, and this blade is heinous overkill towards the very end. The fight was won. XQC getting hunted down. They're out for more. There is no chill in this defense. Ginger Pop wondering what he has done to deserve this level of aggression, but he's able to stay alive. He's up and over the top, and he will not be one of the few people that are staggered.
Well, because they know they won that fight too quickly is the thing. There's going to be a chance for them to get back in. That's why you see Muma in the backline trying to stall them out with Primal Rage just to make sure that they can't get back on the point. The early ultimate comes on to Za. He's trying to get in there on the Reaper. They will touch it on the point, and the Death Blossom comes in.
Oh. FNRGFE might have gone way too deep. That was not great by Muma to be that far out. And suddenly, when the chips are down, ARC6 making a valiant last attempt here that FNRGFE has opened the door to. Clockwork, though, coming back in, has Pulse Bomb at the ready. Still plenty of ways that FNRGFE can clean this out in a good way. And with those last two kills, that will probably be it. No ticks for ARC6, and FNRGFE, on their map pick of Anubis, has put things on a much better note for themselves.
Defense looked really good there. It's very difficult to finish out Anubis, especially Anubis last, just when Sombra is playing that well, and very often they just got the entry kill. The thing is, you're gonna have pushes that are meant to fail, and they had one of those towards the end where they baited out the EMP. Their last push was actually one of their better ones because they had baited out Pulse Bomb, EMP, and a lot of things, but almost punished for being out of position. I understand why FNRG did that, though. With the time remaining, they really just didn't want to allow them to get on the point, and a little bit mistimed, but worked out for them.
It did work out, and now bear in mind that they only have to get one tick on the final point for Anubis to win the map. They do not have to get a full capture, they don't have to get 2 ticks, just a single tick. So the defensive effort that's going to have to come out here from ARC6 is going to be difficult to say the least.
Yeah, I do think that team should be starting to at least experiment with running a McCree on the offense there. We've seen that work out. Running a Roadhog. The problem with Sombra, or killing Sombra, is that the moment she feels in danger of any burst, she's just translocating out. If you can CC her with Pocket Sand Flashbang or hook her in, even though it's not a one-shot, your team should be with you, then you can eliminate the EMP threat without having to eat EMPs on fights beforehand. So I think we will see teams try to pepper that in a little bit.
Attackers incoming.
All right, so taking a look at this offense coming out here from FNRGFE. Hex, I will let you say what we're seeing right now, but I'm sure it gives you a lot of joy. Although it is an interesting switch up compared to what we saw just earlier on Ilios.
Yeah, Buds will be the guy. Well, Clockwork's not a Genji player. He's almost never played Genji.
Yeah.
So if you want to run Genji, that Buds would be the one on it. But Clockwork is going to be on Widow, a hit scan God. We'll see if he can get anything done. But I think, maybe these teams have played together before. Space is going to spot it out and going to try to deny Clockwork from doing any sort of work.
Well, that's where defense has to be careful, though. You don't want to send a Winston or a D.Va too deep on the Widow, especially on Anubis, where we've seen it backfire so many times, where you try and go for the Widow and then it just goes against you. But we're going to be taking a look at Clockwork right now, looking for early pickups. And XQC in hot pursuit. The Discord Orb is on and he is down immediately. The execute XQC plan works flawlessly here for FNRGFE, and they are in a great position early on as Clockwork, plenty of room to snipe with here as they look for the final few cleanup kills.
Well, Clockwork plinked that Winston XQC as he went in over the top. That's why he got so low. He got discorded and headshot by Clockwork from a mile away, and they only had a little sliver of health to have to deal with him. Custa will take out Coolmat, and they're going to try to EMP. They want to hold this one. It could be a mistake.
I would say it's almost certainly a mistake, unless you have just an absolute miracle coming out here. They were down way too many people for that EMP to work. And now this is the worst of both worlds, where you're not going to have the EMP for the immediate defensive point B. And remember, they only have a 1-tick threshold here, so having that EMP up where it would have been their only major defensive ult would have been great. Now they don't have it, and now they're in trouble.
Clockwork's gonna switch, might be Reaper here. Yep, Reaper will come up. Buds has the blade ready. They can barrier and blade into this with no fear of EMP.
This is FNRG FE's window for sure. Again, only 1 tick needed. If Buds can just open up with a kill or 2, Clockwork will be there for the cleanup. FNRG FE cannot let this opportunity get away from them. There's the barrier, and here comes the blade. The blade coming out here from Buds, chasing down Ginger Pop. Ginger Pop booping him away, draws him really far away from the fight, but is it going to be enough? It might be. Dante got Blade up in the middle of the fight, and they've traded out pretty well.
Dante took out both supports in that fight, the saving grace for this defense. I don't think they're going to be able to bring it back through, but Matt does end up taking out his counterpart. Still want to be in this fight. XQC rejoins, but I think that this is time to leave. Yeah, cool, Matt does.
It is time to leave. And Muma would like to leap out right now, but he's hacked. He can't leap. So finally he is going to fall, and I will say here that if there is a big difference, it was that Buds chased down Ginger Pop, and even though Ginger Pop had no real chance of living, with his boop back, he drew Buds enough out of the fight that it limited the amount of damage he could do. It was a very smart play by Ginger Pop to just sort of bait Buds that far away from the fight.
We used to talk about the first push being the best push for offense, but that is true here. Wow, Banny somehow gets this Transcendence off, even though the EMP went down, so that EMP gets absolutely nothing. They completely negate it, still in position to try to push here, and with Dante down, they will do just that.
Custer right now going to the back lineup, trying to apply pressure and get another EMP up. He's actually at 70% right now, so he very well could get another EMP up before this fight is over.
It's
and
filthy.
FNRG FE, despite the good Transcendence, they're not able to maintain momentum, and they've probably lost too many here, as Custa can drop the EMP now at any time.
Didn't he just drop EMP? Like,
yes,
just a second ago?
Well, he has it again.
Yeah, they
just to let you know. And
they sound barrier on the way in. Banny does need a pulse bomb for defense with a couple of quick kills, means that this push is over. The next push should be okay-ish. They're gonna have DPS ultimates, but they have to push into EMP again.
not great. And I'm not even sure they realize that Custa has the EMP up again. It's probably a good thing to assume when you're up against Sombra, but it makes things difficult. And remember, FNRG FE, they still have 4.5 minutes to get one tick, but so far, the Arc 6 defense has been very good. They have plenty of ultimates to spare, and Custa's just gonna leisurely head into the alleyway and drop an EMP. Goodbye and good night.
They take out a couple, which means the fight's over. You don't have to necessarily clean up everything for the EMP to win you a fight. And I think that FNRG FE knew that. Granted that Custa got his EMP because he was able to murder a couple people, and they know they died to Sombra, so you have to assume that the EMP is going to be up there. Next push, Buds, Cool Matt, Clockwork, and Muma will all have their ultimates up, but no support ultimates to work with this push.
No, and you usually need something on the support ult-wise to actually maintain control of the fight. You can't really lose people when you're going in for last point Anubis. It has to be a clean fight, because if it's not, you simply can't deal with the respawns. But here comes Dante. Why? He goes into the back and gets punished. He's out of the fight immediately on an overly aggressive Dragon Blade, and now Buds has a blade of his own, but the EMP is going to stop him from using it. Custa staunching the bleeding of what could have been. And okay, FNRG FE, they're staying in. They go for the blade anyways in a fight where they're already down people. This is very questionable.
It is. I think just knowing that they only need one tick has given them a false sense of confidence here. However, Muma able to take down a few, but it doesn't really matter. You need more than that, and you need it quicker. On the offense, Banny's done a great job of somehow having his Transcend up post-EMP twice, but he decides that it's not worth risking the third time. We'll switch over to the Ana, and I think they're just looking for maybe even a Nano Death Blossom. It's got to be the play.
They gotta be looking for, I mean, they need to find something to get one tick. The one thing about this is at the very least they don't lose the map. It's a tie if they don't get a tick, but it's an opportunity you don't want to let get away from you. This should be something that they can punch in and win. They have 2.5 minutes, plenty of time to build up ultimates, and they get EMP'd again. Custa with a beautiful EMP, going to hit the bulk of the FNRG FE team, and XQC just leisurely walking in and getting the cleanup.
And Clockwork used his ult there too, so they're not even going to have the option of Nano Death Blossoming. And, well, I mean, Banny's still so far away from Nano anyway. They needed to bank up ults. Maybe Clockwork's thinking about switching off of this. The Reaper hasn't been super impressive, but I guess he just thought everyone's grouped up. Maybe I can get this off before EMP hits, and does not end up being the case. So maybe Nano Blade is the next plan? Barrier Blade and Nano?
I think Nano Blade is probably the most reliable way of getting through here, but it also has not been a banner day for Buzz getting kills on Dragon Blades in general, so I mean, I guess it's just hoping that he's able to have a better blade this time around. And you see after the GFE, Luma freelancing on zone to the side, the barrier's going to come out, and will it be matched here by Blade? There's no Nano Boost to go with it right now, and no kills coming out at all. A Pulse Bomb taking down Buzz, and this barrier engage coming in from FNR GFE, not going to do what they're hoping for.
No, I guess they got out the EMP. That's something to work with on your next push. Gonna have maybe 2 more shots at this, and Nano Blade seems to be the only and best option for this offense to finally push in. There will be so many delay tactics for the defense, though, is the issue. They're gonna have Self-Destruct and Primal Rage, and Ginger Pop will have Barrier sometime during this next fight, so the window is open, but it's a small one they're gonna have to crawl through.
We've talked about Buds a lot, and the Nano Blade will be the option they go for. And he immediately dispatches Ginger Pop. No delay coming out this time. Buds, looking for a little bit more, has to put the blade away. It's only a 1-kill Nano Blade. Usually you need a little bit more than that. But Clockwork is here for the cleanup. It's a late EMP, and this time around, FNR GFE might have what they need to get that 1 tick. They're already more than halfway there, and Clockwork is not being checked right now.
As you mentioned, a very late EMP. The first kill on a Ginger Pop was huge, though. It prevented them from getting the barrier. A double bomb from Zondo. Clockwork and Buds down. That is all the punching power of this composition now out of the fight.
That is huge. Zav bringing Arc 6 back from the brink. Just when you think Clockwork is going to be on the cleanup duty, he is now taken out of the fight. It is desperation for the side of FNR GFE. Matt is going to fall, and this one is all but done right now, Hex. Very little opportunity for FNR GFE to bring this back. Clockwork running into a literal meat grinder.
I mean, if that Pulse Bomb only hit one of them, maybe they can sustain, but if you take out all of your damage there, who's even going to get your kills against a team that is going to reinforce that quickly? Yeah. And 1-1 on Temple of Anubis. I thought we were past the days of Temple of Drawnubius. I haven't seen one in a while.
We haven't been seeing draws anywhere near as recently as of late, but I will say that FNR GFE let that one get away from them.
It's mostly because they keep publishing all these Hearthstone decks that I have to play, and I get emoted from people playing the best deck in all of Hearthstone while I'm just messing around. So I blame Raynad for that one.
You heard it here first, guys. You play Hex and Hearthstone, be sure the emote well played over and over again as he's losing terribly.
I've never gotten angrier at any game than I get at Hearthstone. It is insane. Both teams gonna run dive. I think we should talk about the video game that we're in right now. Pretty standard lineup on both sides. No one really trying anything a little bit different. So both tanks will do this duo around the side. XQC jumps in early.
XQC leading the way here early on, and FNR GFE just bending back. But it's not quite enough. Custa dives, or Clockwork tried to dive in the Custa, immediately punished, setting up Arc 6 for a quick 6-on-5. And though the tanks are playing well for FNR GFE and making space, they no longer have the offensive power behind them, and it's pretty difficult. It's really up to Buds now to bring this one back. Doesn't have Clockwork with him right now. Under heavy fire from multiple angles, XQC was applying pressure. He's able to back out, though, and now Clockwork's back in the fight. FNR GFE with a chance to flip this back around.
It's possible. One of the reasons dive works so well on offense here is that it's very difficult to find a place to retreat as defense. You can either go through archway or put yourself in the hotel, and it's neither is either a great option. If you go to archway, you have to give up so much progress. Look, they've already got 2 ticks, even if this fight fails.
They do have 2 ticks right now, but XQC with the Primal Rage should be enough to secure this out. It's booping and bopping people in and away from the point. Nice delay coming out here from Matt at the very end. It buys time for Boom to get back in, but they don't have the 6 people they need to bring this back. But they scare out the Transcendence! Custa uses the Transcendence under nearly no pressure there, and that is going to allow, at the very least, Arc 6 will take the point, but it's a good ult trade for FNR GFE.
Yeah, mistake there from Custa towards the end. Maybe chalked it up to not knowing exactly his team or how the comms work. Again, a newer addition to this squad. Maybe just a fat finger. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just accidentally hit your ultimate. I've been there, but I'm not a professional Zenyatta player. However, they have great positioning here, going to get a lot of free push as soon as this door opens. We need new door technology in Overwatch. These doors take so long, but that's by design. But both tanks already hitting high ground up here. They've got a lot of great positioning already.
Hex, they're extremely energy-efficient doors. They just don't have the power that you would expect.
Yeah,
somehow the technology doors they have in Teslas has not gone over to garage doors. It's just unfortunate.
Well, the fight does come down already, and Primal Rage just popped defensively. Offensive barrier in as they do try to bowl in. A self-destruct does not find what it's looking for, and despite all these ults used, it's been bloodless so far. The blade will come out as the Genjis fight each other. Everyone hit everything.
Bud's looking for the blade, and he does get Za at the very end. Dante, though, his blade's still out, looking for more. Both Genjis finding their win in the tracers, so to speak, taking them out. But this fight, relatively even, but it's Arc6 who's starting to get the advantage. They dash through Muma. Dante, hot pursuit, really getting checked here by Banheave. Zenyatta versus Genji action here into the sidelines, but finally, Dante gonna finish off that fight, and Arc6 will get the payload moving forward.
You would think that that would end up favoring FNRG FE because Custa used Transcendence before that fight, and I don't know how everyone stayed alive as long as they did, as it was just a brawl out there. Everyone ended up using nearly everything, but hey, here's that silver lining. Custa's gonna have Transcendence for this fight.
Well, Custa with the Transcendence, and he's gonna pop it immediately. Gonna enable Arc6 to go very deep into this corner. Banny under assault from all sides, and Custa bringing out some Zenyatta versus Zenyatta action towards the very end. And that, it's gonna be Custa on a rampage. Picks up 3 before it's all said and done.
Custa just decides to be a dive zen. He Zoom-yachted in there with his tank, and they effectively cut the team in half. The battle on the cart didn't really matter much as the rest of his team was able to clean up there. And using that speed that Zenyatta got however many months ago to go in with his tank and really wreak havoc on the front lines.
So, Arc6 saying a very good time here on Kings Row so far. 4 minutes in their favor. They have a Dragon Blade up for the next fight. Plenty of opportunities to keep the momentum going forward. And Dante, he's creeping from the sky, brings out the blade, but will get met by the Transcendence. Not going to be quite as effective as he wants. Meanwhile, Bud's able to deal with Za into the back, checking Dante as he's dashing around to the back. And this is going to build up his Dragon Blade for the next fight.
Yeah, they're going to have to reset, though, as they're taken out. Nice Discord placement on most of these targets. The chase is full on. They will end up letting Za live as he goes back to spawn. But the big important thing, too, as well, is that they've flipped over ultimate advantage. Za is going to switch over to Reaper, even though he had Pulse Bomb nearly up. So, trying a different strategy. Reaper can be good here. Again, smaller spaces. Reaper can be good at lasts in general as the map narrows out.
Bud's diving to the back, Dragon Blade out, looking for anything here, going to be checked by the sound barrier, going to limit how much he can get out of this blade. That's going to force him back a bit, and here comes the self-destruct space, making space with this self-destruct, forcing FNRG FE back a bit. Both teams jockeying for position right now is Muma, Discord orbed, under heavy assault. He's going to fall, and powered by this Reaper, Arc6 now starting to make some headway.
And yet another Transcendence from Custa. He's gotten him up pretty quickly as he's just been on a murder spree. Right there is able to take down Clockwork close to the end. They should be able to get around this last bend. This is one of the more unique points in Overwatch, as if this push fails, you could start to see heroes like not unironic Bastion, a McCree here towards last two, but they're just camping doorways.
I feel like that should be a skin, unironic Bastion. But Za right now, under heavy fire, able to Wraith form out as Dante goes crazy into the backline, taking advantage of all those people clumped up. It's 3 kills for Dante. Arc6 well on their way to capping out Kings Row. No one in sight. And that is a dominant Kings Row time for Arc6. 2 minutes and 16 seconds remaining.
Well, you know, as much as I like Tahoon, I think the Custa has been a pretty nice upgrade to this team because they didn't have a Zen specialist before. And in the current composition, or the current meta, you need a Zen specialist. Everyone's running Zen, and all the best teams, you think about, you know, just even European teams, you have Boombox that's made that team look so much better. I think getting the damage and the kills from Zen is an important factor for current composition, so they had to do something, and Custa is a great player. Your microphone's going bonkers, by the way.
Oh, is it? All right.
It's making like weird thuddy noises. You'll see it in Twitch chat with all the Golden Boy what faces soon. But you might just need to reset. There's a little magic trick ZP has to do with his microphone. It's mostly just
we're good now. We're good. Just how long was it like that? Is the real question.
It happened once before, but I thought it was a one-time thing, and now that it happened again, I just figured I'd let you know.
Yeah, you should definitely let me know before Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto, fills the Twitch chat. But
Yeah.
Arc 6, it feels like they've really solidified over the course of this game where even XQC and Space, who started out a little bit rough, have been working much more in unison. And really, I mean, Custa has come out big time. I think it was a little bit off in the first map, but his play, whether it be on the Sombra or on the Zenyatta, have really shown here towards the end. So good stuff coming out here from Arc 6.
The only thing that really surprised me about the change in compositions is that they didn't run Ginger Pop on the Mercy. But again, I think it's that your mic's making like this thudding noise a lot of times. It's very odd.
Oh, thudding. Actually, you know what that was? That was probably me shaking my desk. That wasn't the microphone.
Stop doing that. You don't have to be nervous, man. It's just me. We're friends.
I'm always nervous around the decks. What can I say? But yeah, so yeah, thudding noise. Yeah, well, I blame my leg. I just shake my leg.
I know, I've seen it.
It has nothing to do with nervousness, it's just, it's a thing.
It's a tick. You got a tick. It's alright. Both teams running dive, of course. Again, on defense, dive is difficult to defend because you have to probably rotate into archway. You're gonna give up some progress. That's just gonna happen. Dive comes in from the offense right away into the back line. Kills just yet.
There's still a lot of space being controlled here early on, but they tried to blow up Muma, and they do. Muma not able to get out in time. They disengage, re-engage with the heavy focus on Muma. Worked out for Arc 6, and now they can re-engage with a 6v5. Matt's gonna get demeched, and they can just flood right over FNRGFE. A very nice setup there for the defense.
Yeah, just very great dive catching. We talk about diving in, and then can the defense catch the dive? Is the focus there when you're just on the receiving end, on the defensive end? Because the focus has to be there offensively, but defensively, when you're running the exact same composition, it's kind of the same thing, but you didn't have to leap in to do it.
All right, so Zal right now coming back into the fight. Right now, holding to the back line. And Arc 6, this has been a very much a counter-punch defense here, where they let Muma dive into them, they punish Muma, and then go back the other way.
Well, some nice kills there as Cool Matt is demeched. It's been, kind of a quieter day for Cool Matt since the very first stage. They've been focusing him pretty strongly, and I actually do think that if you're going to focus one player on the team, it should be him. His D.Va can be absolutely stifling. But now, a couple of kills come out the other direction, and a late barrier only gets 2 in it.
Late barrier indeed, and now FNRGFE, 2.5 minutes. They're gonna pull out the blade. Bud's out for blood here, gets booped back. Ginger Pop being Bud's worst nightmare here, not able to land the slash until the very end, but damage being mitigated. The problem is it enough here for Arc 6? They're already on the back foot. XQC getting bullied away. FNRGFE in good position now to take first, but it is a slower take of first than what we saw just a moment ago coming out from Arc 6.
Yeah, a bit slower here as it's still actually being contested, as Zal was in there just dancing around his Tracer. Totally fine to do as Tracer, you have a low HP pool, and you're going to be able to get back for the next fight.
All right, so FNRGFE resetting up here once more. They have the Transcendence up for the next fight, but it is going to be a bit of an ultimate showdown coming in here where Dante needs to read the situation, figure out that Banny does have the Transcendence, and then wait for that to be used before pulling out his blade. If he pulls out the blade immediately, it will be an ult trade out Transcendence for Dragon Blade, but FNRGFE can use that to dive right in. But the fight is underway, and this Transcendence might be coming out sooner than we thought.
Transcends come out on both sides as the dueling Zumyatas come in. Matt's gonna bowl his self-destruct right through the center there. Does not end up finding much, but Custa a little bit out of position, gets punished for it. They continue pushing, but Ginger Pop able to take down Clockwork, and it's been the supports for the side of Arc 6 really doing so much damage and contribution there.
Well, they are, but the problem is that Custa was a little bit too far deep. He ends up dying more freely than he should have here, and that put FNRGFE on a good tilt. Bud's coming in, Blade is out, going into the pub. I thought swords were banned in pubs. It doesn't really matter, as Clockwork is able to go around the flank and get the kills that are necessary.
Let me ask you a question. You better answer me honestly. I'll find out. Do you own a samurai sword?
No. I do not.
I thought.
I mean, that one commercial where the guy's like banging the sword on the desk and then hits himself with it was a good deterrent. I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'm probably clumsier than that guy. I don't want to die.
I just figured, all the anime, maybe you'd be one. Anyway, fight is gonna.
They're bad swords. Middle-aged swords are better. But next fight is underway here, Hex.
Yep, both teams are going to pop some ultimates. Matt eats a pulse bomb again. He has been so under fire most of this game. Matt demeched, and the self-destruct comes in on the other side, forces them back, forces out the Transcend, and nice one from Banny to keep himself alive. He wasn't going to be able to retreat from that.
No, it wasn't, and Arc6 right now, though XQC is under assault, able to get healed up towards the end. He's taking so much fire right now and still getting healed up. That is charging up Custa and Ginger Pop for the next fight. Transcendence will be on the table for Arc6 going into this next round. And there's not a whole lot that FNRGFE has to really deal with it.
No, not really. I think we asked the question earlier, who do you focus down on this FNRG FE team? And the answer for Arc6 has been Matt. He has been eating pulse bombs, he's been under constant pressure and fire. You're seeing him play a little bit further back. The moment he goes in, he is just getting focused entirely.
Dante to the back line, gets boot back, does not care. In heavy pursuit of Blank, will get his man. Is going to be limited to just that, though. The era of blades for Lucio's continues, but it's enough. They use the blade and Transcendence to convert on this team fight win. A minute 30 separating Arc6 now, Hex, from victory in the series over FNRGFE.
Well, as Overwatch has evolved, as the competitive scene has gotten better and better, it's rarer nowadays to see giant ultimates. I mean, a 3K Blade is insane nowadays, where it used to be commonplace. A double Pulse Bomb is insane, where it used to be commonplace. And that's just teams learning to play around the ultimate so much better. Lucio's getting better at peeling, etc. So it's okay to trade an ult for one important kill in the back line.
Well, FNRGFE, they have a bomb, they have a blade. This is where they need to make it work. The minute left, this is their window to keep this map rolling forward. And Buds creeping to the back, looking for his opportunity. Not pulling out the blade here yet. It's a late blade, but here it goes. Going in, looking for anything, going to the back line, getting just kited back. He's gonna get nothing with this blade. But Matt able to get something on the self-destruct, keeping the hope alive here for FNRGFE as they continue to assault. And they have to invest a sound barrier here because they did not get as much from the blade.
A later barrier from the side of Arc6 bodes well for them, but XQC can only delay so long before he is finally deleted. Clockwork has had a hard time against Custa, who has taken him to the whipping shed more than once as he tries to get in on him. However, the positioning and the heroes are not necessarily there. A blade comes out for the defense. Dante takes out Boink, but dies immediately after.
The focus fire on him was immediately there. It was right before the Transcendence came out. The Transcendence blade, they were not on the same wavelength, and that could cost Arc6 dearly. They could have put this one away with a good Transcendence blade combo, but because it was off, FNRGFE has the opportunity to keep this moving forward. But Ginger Pop, fragging Pop onto the point, keeping the hope alive. Suddenly, FNRGFE dying one by one, and that is going to be Arc6 holding here on Kings Row and sending FNRGFE to the lower bracket. Where did that even come from, Hex?
I mean, we've seen Ginger Pop go nuts on this map before on an Ana play in specific. He's a good player in a lot of things, just not the Zen specialist they were looking for. Custa is that addition that they needed to make. They had to make some change after some disappointing results in recent tournaments. And even though FNRG allowed the other people up front to focus